Call to order the Gurnee Village Board meeting of October 21st, 2024. Roll call, please.
Thorstenson.
Here.
Woodside.
Here.
Ross. Here. Garner.
Here.
O'Brien.
Present.
Bonus.
Present.
6 present.
You all stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Before we start, I just wanted to honor Don Henderson. He's my stepdad, but also well-known in the village, having constructed many of the buildings in town, having his hand in many things, the police department and other things. Very generous man. He died yesterday at the age of 95, and his sons still run JJ's, which is a business in town that helps us immensely at times. So just want to say that he was a good man right up until the end, generous, and just an old world throwback, I guess, in many ways. And I was thankful he was married to my mom for 20 years, and 20 blissful years from my mom's perspective, and thankful to have a stepdad like him. So I wanted just to honor him tonight. So on to the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Ballmer, second by Trustee Garner. Roll call, please.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Here. Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Bonus.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Motion carries. Pat?
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the October 7th, 2024 meeting. Item number 2, approval of payroll for period ending October 4th, 2024 in the amount of $1,070,950.19. Item number 3, approval of bills for period ending October 21st, 2024 in the amount of $1,669,063.44.
Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion by Trustee Ballmer, second by Trustee Garner. Roll call, please.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Bonus.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Motion carries. On to letter C, petitions and communications. Approval of a proclamation designated October 23rd through 31st, 2024 as Red Ribbon Week in the village of Gurnee. Red Ribbon Week is the oldest and largest drug prevention campaign in the nation. The Red Ribbon was chosen as a symbol commemorating the work of Enrique Camarina, a Drug Enforcement Administration agent who was murdered in the line of duty and has come to represent the belief that one person can make a difference. This year's Red Ribbon Week theme is Life is a Movie, Film Drug-Free, and inspires individuals to play their part in fostering safe, healthy, and drug-free communities. Now, therefore, I, Thomas Hood, Mayor of the Village of Gurnee, do hereby proclaim October 23rd through the 31st of 2024 as Red Ribbon Week in Gurnee and encourage all citizens to wear and display red ribbons and participate in drug-free activities throughout that week, joining the rest of the country to establish an atmosphere that supports awareness, education, and ongoing initiatives to prevent illegal drug use. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee O'Brien, second by Trustee Ross. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No reports or old business.
Correct.
On to new business. Item number 1, approval of requests from police and fire departments to waive the formal bidding process and purchase Emergency Fire Dispatch Pro QA software from Priority Dispatch Corporation at a cost of $107,735. Expense eligible for 100% reimbursement from the NLCC ETSB. Pat?
Sure. So, as you know, we're a founding member of LACOM, the Consolidated Dispatch Center that they're building down in Libertyville. So, currently 24 members. Looks like Hawthorne Woods and Killdeer are expected to join before the end of the year, so that'll take us up to 26. Just an update on the executive director recruitment. So, that closes today. As of October 16th, they had 46 applicants, so that's good and that's progressing nicely. Building's on track, on budget, so things are on track for mid-2025 as far as that facility being able to start transitioning partners there over time. So all that being said, all the PSAPs that are joining, including Gurnee, continue to prepare for that transition to make it as smooth as possible, standardizing software, procedures, et cetera. So as you know, we've utilized emergency medical dispatching for over 20 years. Back in 2020, we took kind of the next step in that and implemented the ProQA software for EMD. So that includes updated protocol into a computerized product that integrates into the CAD system, helps reduce reliability, increase efficiency. We're the only PSAP in Lake County that currently isn't using emergency fire dispatch. So as we prepare to transition to Lake Com, the Gurnee Communications Division and Police Department and Fire Department would like to implement this software. So as we move in there, we're all using the same protocols, same operating procedures. So similar to the EMD side, the EFD, again, proven protocols to help dispatchers identify requests, assess severity, send the necessary resources to the scene, provide safety instructions to the caller, and manage the responding resources. So again, everybody but Gurnee is using it at this point. We'd like to use it. Reached out to Priority Dispatch, which is the company that provides the software, got a price from them of the $107,735. So that's for the software, licenses for all the positions, training and maintenance. Once we join Lake Com, that expense goes away for the Village of Gurnee and becomes a Lake Com expense. So hopefully this is only just a one-year expense to the village. And again, as the mayor stated, this is eligible for 100% reimbursement from the NLCC ETSB, which is the JETSB for the Village of Gurnee and Zion that collects the state 911 surcharge that can only be used on dispatching. So it was a known quantity, so it was included in the budget, and is ready for your consideration.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee O'Brien, second by trustee Thorstensen. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
6 aye.
Motion carries on to item number 2, approval of group dental insurance renewal with Delta Dental, 0% rate adjustment for 12 months beginning January 1st, 2025. Pat?
Sure. So this is the time of year we have our various insurance renewals related to health, dental, life. So a couple memos from our HR director, Christine, for this item and the next one. Been with Delta since 2014. They've only requested a premium increase during that time. That was back in 2023 at 7.6%. All the other years have been flat. This is another 0% increase for the next 12 months. Based on the service provided, the level of satisfaction from the employees, and the 0% rate adjustment, staff is recommended to continue with another 12 months with Delta for dental coverage.
Thank you. Is there a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Motion by trustee,
Garner.
second by
Karen.
trustee Thorstensen. Any discussion? No? Roll call, please.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
6 aye.
Motion carries. Item number 3, approval of employee life insurance and accidental death and dismemberment policy renewal with the standard 0% rate adjustment for a 24-month period beginning January 1, 2025. Pat?
Sure. So this is a life insurance and accidental death and dismemberment policy. Been with the standard since January 2019. Provided us a 2-year renewal quote at no rate adjustment. Reflects the positive changes in our demographics, primarily due to some retirements and replacement hiring employees at a lower salary rate as those that are topped out and have been here for a while move on to retirement. So again, happy with the service, no complaints. So looking to move forward with a 24-month renewal.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
trustee Ross, second by trustee Garner. Roll call, please.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
6 aye.
Motion carries. So the last 2 items on the agenda are with reference to paintball explosion. Generally, the process is that the public has comment, will comment after the end of all of our business, but it's been my process of allowing public comment in situations like this where there's neighbors that are present that would like to make public comment prior to a vote being made. So in this particular situation, the petitioner will provide a presentation, after which there'll be a 15-minute period of time in which there'll be a limited public comment that can be directed towards item 4 and 5. And then after 4 and 5, with the results of the votes from those two items, then there'll be the regular public comment in which there isn't a limit with reference to the amount of comments that can be received afterwards. So if we would start with, I'll just read item number 4, and then the petitioner will provide a presentation. It's approval of ordinance 2024,
66.
granting a zoning map amendment pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance of 5606, 5620, 5626, 5636, and 5646 Des Plaines Court. Pat?
Sure. So I'll give a quick overview of both items 4 and 5, and then as the mayor said, we'll turn it over to the petitioner for a brief presentation. So Paintball Explosions looking to purchase the 8 parcels that the mayor just read off the addresses, located generally at the northeast corner of 120 and 21 to open paintball park with 9 outdoor courts, formerly down at Santa's Village in East Dundee. Considers Gurnee an ideal location for its operations due to the proximity of other entertainment sites and the location of the site and the size. Zoning ordinance classifies this use as outdoor recreation, which requires a special use permit in the C2 zoning districts. 3 of the 8 parcels are currently zoned C2, while the other 5 down in this area are O2 PUD and therefore need to be rezoned for this use. If the rezoning is successful, they're looking for a special use permit, again, to convert the 11 acres into outdoor recreation, primarily paintball courses. The paintball facility will be designed to offer a check-in area, pro shop, staging area, 9 outdoor themed fields, and a lounge for non-participants. They intend to maintain most of the structures on the site. The metal barn, so kind of the Quonset hut at 4710, will be remodeled to function as a main entrance to the paintball park. Also include customer check-in, pro shop, and if feasible, lounge for non-participants. Building at 5710 is mainly intended for storage, guest bathrooms, and mechanicals. Potentially some spillover if the 4710 structure doesn't meet their needs completely. The existing tenants at 887, which is the former AAA Tent Masters building, will remain and continue their operations without disruption. Some of the vacant units in that building will be used by the paintball business for their administrative offices. All the residential buildings on the site, except for 5606, will be repurposed for short-term rentals to allow extended stays for non-local paintball customers. PZB meeting, there was some discussion about the hours of operation. Again, the petition will get into that, but they mainly operate on Saturdays and Sundays. Traffic flows in, doesn't all arrive at the same time. There was some concerns about noise expressed by the public. Community Development Director Ziegler did some research on that, and again, the petitioner can speak to it, but what David found is that typical paintball markers has a decibel rating of 85 decibels. The distance doubles as you get away from the sound. The decibels go down by 6, so at approximately 50 feet, the decibel rating from the paintball marker should be down to ambient or background noise levels. As it relates to residential, that's not on site. The closest residential property is about 500 feet away in Spinney Run. It was before the PZB on October 9th. We had 4 members of the public speak at the meeting. 3, potentially 4, stated opposition to proposal. 2 are residents. One was a representative of Consumers Credit Union who owns 26 acres to the north. And then the 4th resident expressed more hope that the Forest Preserve would purchase the property and leave it natural with their upcoming referendum. So the opposition focused around just the use in general, aesthetics, noise, traffic, and then the impact to surrounding parcels. The village board also received some emails between the PZB meeting and today. I think there's about 10 emails that came in. Most of them, I'd say 8 of the 10 opposition. Again, same concerns. Traffic, noise, is it an appropriate entertainment use on that parcel? Does the village want that use in town? There were 2 that came in support. And I won't steal Trustee O'Brien's thunder, but one was from the president of Santa's Village, just speaking to them as a neighbor down there, speak positively of them. I'm sure he'll share some more information on that. But following the testimony, following the public comment from the PZB meeting, they are forwarding a favorable recommendation, 6-0, on the rezoning and the special use permit request with the condition that a 30-foot landscape buffer be provided between the subject site and then the single-family property that's going to remain at 5660 Des Plaines Court. So with that being said, I will turn it over to the petitioners.
Good evening. My name is Romeo Caputia. I'm one of the partners of Paintball Explosion, and this is my partner, TJ Andrus.
Nice to meet you.
We'd like to speak to the crowd about our business and describe our business a little bit. First of all, we've been in business for 20 years. We're at our current location for 14 years now, successfully at the former Santa's Village Amusement Park in East Dundee. We've been a successful business. We're a family-oriented business, and we cater mostly to younger children for birthday parties.
So our business starts out as an entertainment hub, excuse me, and we cater to a lot of kids for birthday parties, but we also cater to young adults and corporate events as well. We essentially offer a form of entertainment that's built to promote team building, strategy, self-control, confidence, and every other skill that you want, to kind of refine as you grow up. We are committed to being a fun and welcoming environment in line with other entertainment venues available today. We were looking to move to Gurnee to take the next step to offer an entertainment venue in line with, what is the place called? The indoor skydiving place, iFly, trampoline parks, and indoor laser tag and entertainment facilities.
Yeah, and to add to that, I just want to say we've went and looked at probably about 100 different locations, 50 to 100 different locations throughout the suburbs. Our business has been successful in the northwestern suburbs or western suburbs, and we looked at various villages and municipalities where we could have moved our business, and we thought Gurnee was ideal for us in terms of our core demographic of our customer base and where they come from, and they surround this entire area. So we thought this was a great location for us. The property at 120 and 21 we thought was ideal because it's separated from residential properties, except for the one single-family home that's on the site, which we tried buying. We've actually tried to make a offer to purchase it, and we didn't get a response. Our attorney wrote a letter to the owner, and we never even got a response. So outside of that, we thought it was an ideal place because the property is surrounded by a forest preserve and commercial to the north with a buffer in between us, and then Heather Ridge, which is quite a bit away, we feel we wouldn't even impact.
Could we go on to the next slide, please? So our future vision for the facility is to build something that is really entertaining, cutting edge. I know some concerns have been brought up regarding the current facility that we're at. We are tenants there. It is not our building to maintain. And we had been essentially, we've outgrown our footprint there probably about 7-8 years ago. And because of that, we've constantly been looking to move to a larger facility that is designed for us as opposed to taking over an existing footprint. So because of that, we really haven't invested money back into that building. So at the new park, we really want to build something that is eye-catching, entertaining, and very comfortable, where parents or coworkers can hang out after playing or while their siblings or family members are playing and enjoy their time in a comfortable environment that is in line with indoor go-karting, indoor skydiving, and all the other entertainment facilities that we listed. So with this park, we're looking to build a cutting-edge facility that's state-of-the-art with a very modern look to it that we feel would really kind of change that corner's current appearance. Next slide, please. Thank you. So as we said before, we're a modern form of family entertainment that really focuses on team building, self-confidence, strategy. It's also very physical. in the sense that, it's great for exercise. There's a lot of running and crawling and all sorts of fun stuff that you do outside. So it really gets people in tune with going outdoors again and not sitting at home playing video games or watching Netflix for hours on end.
Yeah, and the other point that we have regarding this facility is typically moms drop off their children, and at our current facility, we don't have a lot of traffic generated in the parking lot because moms will come, drop off children. They would go shopping to the Woodfield Mall currently. Here, they'd probably go to the Gurnee shopping center, drop off their kids, let them spend 3 to 4 hours there playing, come back and pick them up. And they typically pick them up, 4, 5, 6 kids at a time in a car. And to TJ's point, we think that this location would be perfect because then we could reinvest a lot of funds into making it a modern facility. Our current facility, as TJ mentioned, is an old amusement park, if you will, and we didn't invest a lot of funds into it towards the end because we knew we were going to move, and we were planning on moving 7 years ago, just couldn't find the right place, and we think we found the perfect place for us.
So to introduce you guys to ourselves, we've been in the paintball industry as Paintball Explosion for around 20 years. I also come from a paintball background where I've worked for some of the bigger paintball companies since I was 15 years old, on the manufacturing side, the field operation side, and on the retail side. Romeo has been a developer, developing condos and other residential and commercial facilities.
Typically subdivisions throughout the suburbs.
So, the partnership really lends itself to creating the facility that we envision. We are focused on safety of our sport and the experience. So we're constantly, working with the industry regarding new materials and techniques and operations to streamline the safety process and make sure that, other businesses can open up using our model in order to also offer an experience that is safe and entertaining.
In fact, I've been playing paintball since I was 16 years old, and the first time I ever played paintball was in Gurnee at a paintball facility called Paintball Blitz, which was on Route 41, or US 41, if you will. And now it's gone, but it's a forest preserve. But it's kind of full circle how we came back to Gurnee.
So to give you guys some understanding about our business model, most of our customers come on the weekends. They are usually dropped off, but we also have some customers who come in for corporate events or young adult outings that will park at the facility. However, the majority of them are going to be birthday parties and younger kids who are dropped off. We offer an environment that offers parents a safe place to leave their kids. There's one way in and out. In theory, obviously there's fire and code restrictions that we're following, but as far as how the general public can enter the facility, it's one way in, one way out, and it creates a safe place for kids to hang out and young adults as well. The scheduling system is staggered in order for our staff to be able to intake all of the customers. So in addition, it's not going to be a model where everybody shows up at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and leaves all at 5 a.m. The reservations are cascaded across all of our business hours to allow our staff to check people in and to reduce impact on traffic in the area. And in addition to that, our hours of operation are usually 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So that allows us to, also maintain a quiet environment outside of business hours. So the Heather Ridge subdivision has approximately 1,000 households, which translates into approximately 2,000 vehicles. We feel that, with the 150-ish to, 130 vehicles visiting per day, that we would offer minimal impact to the surrounding area, especially because of the format in which those vehicles visit our park is staggered through an 8-hour period.
And typically on the weekends, traffic is less in that area from what we've observed. And we feel that our 150 to maybe the max on a very, very busy day would be 200 cars would hardly impact the traffic flow on that busy roadway. I think most of our traffic would come up 120, circle back, and go back east on 120 back to the expressway or eastwards to other suburbs. So we feel that the impact on Milwaukee Avenue going towards the Heather Ridge entry would be minimal.
As we spoke about earlier, the paintball noise level is anywhere from 81 to 90 decibels. And within, about 15 yards, the noise level is reduced down to a very slight hum. But at about 50 yards, the noise level is non-existent. It's at ambient noise level, so it won't even be heard across the street. And more than likely, with the traffic surrounding that corner, it probably won't even make it past the roadway.
And the fact is that the technology and the new markers nowadays is so quiet, it's almost like it has a silencer. It's like a whispering, it makes like a noise instead of a popping noise like it used to in the past. So the technology has really evolved. The sport is extremely safe. The markers don't make a lot of noise. There's no way that you can even hear it across the street, let alone, for example, if you were at a household somewhere in the middle of Heather Ridge, but probably where the fire department is, you couldn't even hear the markers shooting from that area, let alone across the street. As TJ stated, with cars driving by, it would be a minimal sound at best, if you heard anything.
One of the things that we offer are job opportunities for, young adults, people in high school and college. And we try to also promote from within to train the managers up. And we feel that Gurnee and the surrounding suburbs are a great area that we can offer anywhere from 50 to 150 jobs within peak season and outside of peak season.
And that would be part-timers for the most part. We typically staff about 12 full-time employees currently. And in terms of the property taxes, we would be able to generate a substantial, what we feel a substantial entertainment tax. Currently, the way our footprint is, it's so small that when you come in for a birthday party, for example, you don't pay for an admission, you pay for a service to come in as a group with 10 players or more. With our current footprint or the new footprint on the proposed facility, what we would do is charge a per person entertainment tax. So that would go straight to the village instead of being distributed throughout the county is the way we understand it. But that's what we meant by taxes and growth for the village as well.
As we spoke about before, it's all about building a team environment. We have customers from every walk of life. It's not just men, but we have women who play as well. We've had players as young as 10 years old and all the way up into their 80s playing with their grandkids. So it really creates a fun experience that allows people to connect and come together for sports and other corporate events as well.
Yeah, in fact, last year we had 3 generations playing together. We had a 12-year-old boy, a dad that was in his 30s, and then their grandfather who was well into his 60s, all playing together, which was really fun to see.
And I think we're back where we begun.
Thank you, gentlemen. So ultimately, after the public has a comment, then the board might have some questions for you as well, but we're just going to go through and hear public comment next. So if you'd like to take a seat, and we'll have 15 minutes of that, and then if there's some questions that you might have to respond to from the board.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. So next is a public comment. Again, just being mindful of your neighbors, that you have 15 minutes overall, and also knowing that we've seen the PZB presentation, and we've also received emails. So if you can bring up new things, that would be helpful, or if you want to reinforce the existing, that's fine too. So please state your name, just like we do in public comment. Art?
Good evening. I'm Art Stevens, 5740 Regency Court, Gurnee, Illinois. I have appeared before you in the past. I am confused over the presentation, and I'm confused over a number of things which I'm going to ask some questions about. First of all, I would like to say, and I'm going to do this very briefly, which is difficult for me. The testimony that we got in front of the Planning and Zoning Board is not consistent with the testimony that we've seen tonight and that we see on the website and on what the promises are that this is going to be. I think that that needs to be looked into. It is long on promise and very short on detail. I got the packet of information. It is not a detailed packet, so I'd like to ask some of the following questions. Based upon the testimony that they gave in front of the Planning and Zoning Board, they said that they were having nothing but difficulty with the Santa's Village management. I'd like to know what those difficulties are. I understand that Santa's Village has now come around and said, oh no, we love them. I don't know what that is all about, but I'd like to know what that inconsistency is. Number two, what are the real financial benefits to Gurnee? Gurnee does not benefit from property tax. It benefits from sales tax. There is going to be sales tax here, but what kind of financial benefit are we talking? And is that the highest and best use of that land? The chief legal counsel for Consumer Credit Union said that the installation of this would make that virtually unsaleable for anything like a mixed-use community. I don't know what all that means, but I know that that probably should be looked into before we make any decision. After months of development or weeks, I don't know whether it was weeks, months, or days of development with Mr. Ziegler and Ellen Dean and the staff, the citizens got, maybe 30 minutes in front of the Planning and Zoning Board. That's not enough time to actually take apart what this presentation is and figure out whether we can be in favor of it or not in favor of it. So actually, that's part of my confusion. I don't have the slightest idea. Again, long on promise, sounds great. However, there's no detail there, so I don't know whether it's great or not. The testimony on birthday parties does not match with the reality of the promotional materials that are on the website under what we have is adults running around playing war games, shooting zombies against clowns. That's not consistent with the testimony we hear of a wholesome family exercise. And I have to say, as a separate comment, I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old. I'm not going to teach them how to play war, but that's just me. Also, I'd like to point out that the traffic is disingenuous at best. It's almost impossible at present to make a left turn out of that feeder system that goes into that area. It's going to get worse if we have a number of cars coming out, and there are going to be more wrecks there than we have now. So the whole traffic pattern needs to be looked into. I'm sure there are others who wish to make comments. I'm done with my questions, but we need to ask more questions before we approve this.
Thanks, sir. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to make a statement?
Good evening, Keith Owens, 6464 Doral Drive. I find myself standing here on an incline because, as I've been told, this is the only outlet that works, which I understand that. And I had asked that we have a podium, and Pat very graciously explained to me that the podium that had been used, since it was constructed in such a way that the speaker's hands could not be visible, was not acceptable in terms of public safety. And they're going to go for a more modified, slimmer look so that you can see what my hands are doing. Once again, for public safety. I understand that. I also understand that it's really sad that we have to be that way. So, me as a speaker have to be a safe distance from you.
Keith,
Yep. And
Your
I'm getting to
neighbors
a
have
point.
got 15 minutes, and if you're going to talk about the podium, they're not going to be happy with you, or me. So I take it
I'm
you're
getting to
there,
that
so-
point. I'm getting to a point, Tom.
Okay, great,
All right?
thanks,
Oh, by the way, condolences on your loss.
thanks.
I think it sets a bad example to the kids in the school systems where the police departments, the SROs, are doing live shooter drills, where we just had a lockdown over at Viking Park. Mayor, you spoke in front of the village, in front of Warren Township High School the other day. A very informative presentation, by the way. Thank you very much. But one of your strongest comments was, public safety is the first thing that you think of as a responsibility from the village and also as your personal responsibility. Now, I know there's no empirical evidence that demonstrates that if you play paintball or you're playing video games, that you're going to wind up being a mass shooter. But there is some studies that say when you do those kinds of things, it increases aggressiveness. So all I'm saying to you tonight is, you're the leaders of this village, not just from a business standpoint, from a citizen standpoint, and from the youth of this village. So while your words may go up in terms of what you're hoping to do, your actions are going to be what they're going to be hearing. I hope that you take that into consideration when you decide whether this kind of a facility is really what you want to represent Gurnee. Thank you very much for your time and your service.
Thanks, Keith.
Good evening. My name is Brooks Gerlach. I'm at 692 Dunham Road in Heather Ridge. And I'd like to speak about this proposal. Mr. Mayor, we had a lot of pictures. Can I show a couple of pictures?
I said, you asked me that earlier, and we've all seen the pictures that you presented at the PZB, and this is intended to be a public comment time, not for you to present pictures.
I was just trying to match the picture show.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the approval of this proposal without further examination and discussion would be a bad idea for several reasons. First of all, as you've seen the pictures, how they're managing their current property is unsightly. You've seen the pictures, and it's a blemish in their community. They're in the middle of an industrial area, and they look worse than any other of the industrial parks there. They say that they have no control over that. You control how you look. You control your signage. You control all the stuff you've got stacked along the wall to obscure the contents from the roadway. Someone's already mentioned the fact that it's been mentioned that the adjoining properties, residential and commercial, will have their value severely diminished. Given the pictures you've seen, would anybody really want to approve this anywhere along Grand Avenue? Would you like to have this next to Gurnee Mills? Would you like to have this next to the water park? Or just anywhere up in front where everybody can see it? We've got it where nobody can see it, we hope. Those garish buildings, nobody will see those, right? Nobody will see those. I also don't think that the village of Gurnee should promote a game of people shooting each other. You've already discussed the idea of safety. I had a conversation with a gentleman from Warren Township High School this afternoon on the difficulty of holding drills because even the drills are very disconcerting to the students and the teachers. So this is just more stuff that we don't need. I'll close quickly by saying that I would like to propose that this be tabled indefinitely for further discussion for the residents and the affected community. And I'll ask one more question. When you put up a Welcome to Gurnee sign near the paintball explosion sign, which of you want your name as a sponsor on that sign? So-and-so Village of Gurnee board member or Village of Gurnee mayor? I wouldn't want my name on that sign. So I strongly urge the proposal should be tabled indefinitely until the residents can come forth after the election, a lot of other stuff going on right now, holidays, and be able to have a real look at what this is and what it really means to us. So far, it means bad stuff. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Oh, sure. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Dolter. I live at 710 Colby Court, Gurnee, in Heather Ridge. As our trustees, we need to trust you, and we give you, that you give us for our best interest. And that's why you're called trustees, to trust what's best for the community. And I don't feel that that's what you're doing right now, is giving you our best, or your best. So I think about that land, and I think, well, if you're going to put a paintball facility on that 11 acres, why not do what they did where they are now, put an amusement park next to it? Because that's probably all that's going to be good for that area. Who wants to build next to a paintball? And again, what they said about what can I say? Oh, I can't think of it now. And why didn't they clean their area up if they were there waiting to move for 7 years and they were waiting to clean it up? That doesn't make sense to me either. And do you want that kind of an impression when you come from Libertyville and drive into Gurnee and see that was just plopped any old way? Couldn't you have a committee of maybe concerned citizens to find businesses that are appropriate for the areas you put them in? The gas station on Hunt Club that was just put there. How about the senior residence that has the car wash right next to it? And the gas station has those houses. I mean, it's just, we want to have people come here because it's desirable. And to drive from Libertyville and to see a paintball, would they put that in Libertyville? I doubt it. And probably, why don't they put that paintball facility by Great America? You know, there's lots of land back there where those restaurants are out of business and they have that car dealership. There's land back there. It would be appropriate back there. All the amusement facilities are there. Why not put it there? Why would you put it there where we put it? Is the land cheaper? So you can put a facility on cheaper land, these gentlemen that were talking about that, rather than going and buying land? And why would you even think about putting something like that? I just don't get it. We want our community to be desirable. We don't want it to be just anything plopped any old way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ed Jesse, 6122 Brookstone Place in Gurnee. And I sent you all a email with a document about why I thought this vote should be delayed. And I'll just review a couple of things that I wanted to say about that, because the presentation that the applicant has made has been more or less his opinion. I haven't heard any statistics. I haven't heard about a traffic study. I haven't heard about what is going to be the increase of traffic at the intersection of Milwaukee and Manchester if they use that side road. Has the Army Corps of Engineers given opinion on the wetlands impact to the Des Plaines River and the floodplain there? There needs to be a lighting study that needed for the parking lot, the impact of the parking lot lights on the neighbors and the surrounding area. Is this the kind of business that we want to be a gateway to Gurnee? That's an area that is from the south coming into Gurnee. It's the gateway to the community. And what are the documented stats on customer usage? We've heard, birthday parties and that kind of thing, but when I look at the video that they have on their website, I see large groups of adults playing war games and not that many little kids just having fun. And is the business asking for any tax incentives for this? What are the customer service stats? They only have 3 stars on Yelp, which I don't think is that good. They also, Paintball Explosion also has a bar and grill on the site. And is there going to be a liquor license requested for this? So I just think that these issues warrant further investigation, and I think there should be a delay in this vote so that more investigation can be done. Thanks.
Thank you. So at this point, we're at 15 minutes, so if you have a short comment, I'd be more than happy to. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Hood. My name is Adrienne Doherty, 901 Clark Drive, Heather Ridge.
If you could step right up to the microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Now better, yes.
Okay, yes. I thank you for the chance to speak. I live right near Milwaukee, and when I came here 10 years ago, the traffic was kind of bad, but it's only gotten worse. I drive it every day, and it's troubling. Speeding at all hours. I have my windows open at night, and I hear cars roaring down there at 80 miles an hour. No police anywhere, hardly at all, ever. And it's concerning to me. I think it's obvious that you're putting the cart before the horse here. I think that Gurnee needs to clean up the safety issues and traffic regulation technology on that stretch. Start really instituting more oversight there before you start to play with inappropriate development plans. It looks to me, with the speed of these proposals that we've been having to deflect, that it looks like the village board is just waiting for an excuse to change the zoning, as it was with the ill-conceived 24-hour truck depot debacle. I think a good thing to be focusing on is thought before action, planning before designing, and you can't create something exceptional in a vacuum. You should be seeking community input. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so the floor is closed at this moment. Like I said, after the items 4 and 5 on the agenda, the public comment will reopen for any other items that the public care to talk about. So at this point, I've read item 4. We already went through 4, right? Right. So we're just going to start with 4, and what I do is I'd ask for a motion and a second, and then we'll have discussion before there's a vote, if that's all right with everybody. So is there a motion on item number 4?
Second.
Motion by Trustee Baumus, second by Trustee O'Brien, and discussion. So I'm going to start to my, I always start right, left. How about that? Start with Trustee Woodside. You don't have to have a comment unless you want to, and then we'll work my way and then go to the right side.
I would like to ask a question of the petitioner, if I could. You mentioned the turnover rate and scheduling. And I'm wondering, during your operating hours up until 5 p.m., what the turnover is, what your expectation is, how often will traffic be through the property, how often does that turn over?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the full question. Can you please repeat it?
I guess it would help if I put my mic where it belongs. My question is about turnover, your operating hours up until 5 p.m., and you talked about your scheduling software and how you stagger people's arrival time. What is the expected turnover? How long are people there, and how frequently will traffic interchange?
So typically our birthday parties turn over every 2 hours. We have 2 to 4 hour birthday parties, and we typically have approximately 10 birthday parties at one time going. So we stagger those players throughout the day every 2 hours or so. So, and it's never exactly scheduled all at the same time because we couldn't accommodate the flow of the traffic coming in terms of the players, not the cars. And so I'm clear on that. It's not the car issue. It's about how many kids come in at a time. And contrary to what someone was saying about war games, we're not a war game business. We're a birthday party business and an entertainment business. And so we concentrate on our flow so we could turn over these games as safely as possible and getting children in and out of the business efficiently. And by doing so, we don't have traffic at our business. We're currently, as I mentioned, we're at Santa's Village Amusement Park, and all of the traffic that is generated at our core business is from the amusement park next door. We hardly impact the business at all from a traffic standpoint. So our flow is very controlled and very staggered, and mostly, as I mentioned earlier, it's moms dropping off children and she comes back and picks them up 2 to 3 hours later after they're done playing. Or the moms will stay on site and monitor and sit in the lounge, if you will, and wait for the children to finish playing.
So if your business hours end at 5 PM, then presumably your last group will be scheduled to begin at 3? Is that fair?
Correct, yeah.
Is there any provision or any plan for after-hours events?
No, typically we're 9 to 5. We've historically been 9 to 5, and we don't have any night play.
And you mentioned peak season. I'm assuming that's summer, but what is your peak season and what?
It's actually
what-
spring and fall.
Yeah. How does that look over the winter? Do you remain open? Do you?
Very slow in the winter.
Thank you. No other questions?
But you are open during the winter?
Correct.
We are open year-round, but a majority of our business is from March until November, and then it dramatically slows down in December through end of February.
Okay, thank you.
Help me with the scope of the business. What's the total investment that you're making in Paintball Explosion?
So in terms of the property that we're purchasing,
what's
or?
it going to cost to put this business in Gurnee?
Approximately $4 to $5 million
Okay,
with a land acquisition.
okay. And you said there'd be roughly 12 employees per day?
Full-time employees, so.
Full-time?
Correct, yes. We have part-time employees as well, but we employ 12 people full-time.
And what are the employees doing?
They do
You could
everything
talk a little
from.
closer
Oh, I'm
to the
sorry.
microphone.
They do everything from bookkeeping, scheduling, customer service. So to book the amount of groups and parties that we do, we need somebody to be there to answer phones and to answer questions. And we also have a retail site as well.
You mentioned that, well, I've read that there are like 9 fields. Is that what you call them?
Correct, yes.
And so each party has a field?
No, so they
How
rotate
does it work?
through the park. So the 9 playing arenas are there, or fields are there to make sure that the experience is enjoyable and it's not the same thing over and over again. So the party will go out and play one of the fields, come back, take a little break, refill on paint, air, and have a snack or something, and then go out and play a different field. So it also allows the customer to not really experience all the fields at once, which gets them wanting to come back to play the other fields at their next visit.
So you get to play each of the fields?
Correct, yeah, you
From
can.
one end to, kind of like golf?
Exactly,
Right,
exactly.
okay.
But you usually can't cycle through all of them in one day, so that usually gets them coming back for a visit down the road as well.
And what's it cost to,
So the basic entry fee is $25 for regular walk-on play.
per person?
Per person, yes. And then on top of that, they have to purchase paintballs. And so the longer they play, the more paintballs they have to purchase.
And they rent equipment from us as well. So typically the spend is about $90 per person.
And do they,
So that was for walk-on play. We also offer private parties, and that rate starts at $65 a person.
so are they using your equipment or are they bringing their own equipment?
Primarily, it's 95% of our equipment.
Okay. And they're shooting paintballs at each other?
Correct.
Does it hurt?
It does, but they actually have a smaller paintball that's it has less impact. It's called a low-impact paintball. It comes out of a smaller marker, and that has been more favorable lately because there is less sting to it.
Yeah, and we've worked in this industry for 20 years, as we mentioned. We've worked very closely on manufacturing with our manufacturer of our paintballs, and we've made our paintballs very fragile, so the impact is as little as possible. And it's important to mention that our paintballs are biodegradable. They're made with food-grade products. It's very similar to like the gelatin that is around Advil or a vitamin, for example. And that's all biodegradable, and it comes from the earth. So as soon as it's shot, it hits the ground. Once it's wet, it just dissolves, and it's a natural byproduct of the earth. So it's fully biodegradable.
Does it permanently stain the clothing?
No, it's not actually paint. It's actually a cornstarch and water mix with a food-grade dye. So the process is actually the same process they use to make vitamin E tablets or Tylenol. So it doesn't actually stain the clothing. It's not paint itself. It just looks like a colored substance.
Yeah, and after a few minutes, it just dissolves anyway, and as soon as you wash your clothes, it's gone.
And how long does it take to construct this park?
How long will it take us to build out this
To build it
facility
out.
if we're approved to do so? It would probably take us about a year to build it.
Okay.
I do have.
Sure.
So
Trustee Bolas?
facing 120, then, you're going to have the three of the houses as Airbnbs.
No, not as Airbnbs. What they're going to be is if in the event someone comes out to have a birthday party or a bachelor party, for example, they can stay on the site and stay overnight, but it's not an Airbnb. It's not rented to the public. It's just
We
for
are
our
thinking about
customers only.
Okay.
We are thinking about Airbnb, and it's in our.
No. It's for our customer base.
Okay. So behind, then, those houses, they're going to front 120 then? And there will not be paintballs necessarily flying
No.
them out to 120 by any means?
No, so the playing areas are actually surrounded in netting. It's 20-foot tall netting. It's made to keep all the paintballs in, and then there's also additional tree lines out there that act as additional cover.
So currently, the footprint that we're on is half of an amusement park, and the other side of our property is a full-time amusement park, such as Six Flags Great America. And as you could imagine, they have a volume of about 300,000 people per year. And we have netting that goes up, like at Top Golf, and it permanently up in most locations, so the paintballs won't fly over. It was very important for us to have protective netting everywhere that would protect the customers of the amusement park next door, which mostly are young children that are 5 to 10 years old. And we've had 0 incidents and 0 accidents at our facility in 14 years.
Okay, and that netting then would also prohibit like deer crossing the river and things like that, right?
It would never travel that far, that's correct. And there's a natural tree line that would protect the paintballs from going through, and it would never even probably even get close to the river. So the netting contains all the paintballs.
All right, and will the fields where the gaming is going, are they going to be like camera monitored so that a parent who is there staying would be able to watch the play going on
Correct.
while they're waiting for it?
Yes, in fact, we're putting 360 cameras everywhere on every playing arena, so moms, when they're sitting in the parents' lounge, can watch their children live on TV on a large LED wall.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Let's start with Trustee O'Brien.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the other trustees. Also, I want to thank the PZB for having the insight of changing it from a C3 zoning to a C2 zoning. I really appreciate them and the work they did on this. Earlier today, I did drive out to East Dundee, and so instead of a question, I may have a question at the end, but I'm going to give a statement-ish first. I just wanted to see what the facility looked like out there, because actually, Street View Google Maps doesn't do you any favors. It actually looks really bad from Route 25. And one of my concerns will be, what can we do to protect or ensure that it won't look bad in not just a year, but 5 years, from Route 120 more specifically? Because I did come down Route Milwaukee Avenue from Libertyville, and I couldn't even see the buses. I couldn't see any of the stuff that's already down there, which doesn't look good. But I would hate to see the view from Route 120 look anything like it does right now at Sanders Village.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've encountered over the years is, utilizing wood at the new facility, as we've spoken with the village about. We're going to be using different materials so that they don't deteriorate and have the same look that you currently are seeing.
But it's important to mention, as it was brought up from one of the residents, we currently have shipping containers that are stacked in the parking lot. That's for moving purposes, and we dismantled half of our facility already. And those shipping containers are being utilized for putting our equipment in there right now. Most of those containers are full already, and we have more coming that are going to pack up our belongings so we could move them to wherever our future location is going to be. And those containers were also used for an indoor laser tag facility that we had constructed, which was state-of-the-art, and it was stacked, the containers were stacked 3 stories tall within the Polar Dome, which was the former ice arena on our premises. And it was a beautiful facility, and we had to dismantle that to move out of the Polar Dome.
I've skated in the Polar Dome. Okay, thank you for that, by the way. And yeah, I did see that, and I did see that on your website. You do have indeed, one of your fields is container something or other. So I assume that some of it was for moving and some of it was for gaming. I did notice, I specifically wanted to look at or mention that Santa's Village and Paintball Explosion share the same exit, same entrance. And so it's an amusement park, and it's you guys using the exact same exit entrance, and the size of that exit entrance, ingress egress, is exactly the same as the one by the waterfall entering into Heather Ridge. So it's 2 lanes north, 2 lanes south, with a median in the middle. There's 1 lane to turn in, 2 to turn out, 1 to turn left, 1 to turn right, and there's no traffic signal. And there's actually, to the north, there is a signalized intersection which might slow down traffic, but to the south, there's none. So their location there, which has been operating as Santa's Village for as long as I've been alive, has only been a stop sign. And it appears that it is handling the traffic situation for a much larger amount of people than even Heather Ridge and/or adding in Paintball Explosion would consider. So I was maybe even a little surprised by that. Also, I wanted to see if I could meet with the president of Santa's Village just to find out about those concerns, since it was brought up at the last meeting. And I got an email this afternoon that said, with regard to you guys, they've been a very good tenant for 14 to 15 years. The product is known to be one of the top facilities in the nation. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions that I might have. So he was very complimentary towards you. I checked out the Google reviews. They were 4.2 out of 5 with 1,212 reviews. A bunch of the negative ones seemed to be actually from groups of people that were kicked out, adults kicked out for not following the family-friendly rules that you guys seem to have in place. So it shows a level of control on your part to try to keep it family-friendly. For the people in the audience, I did read every single email. I did check out all the videos. I did read everything on Nextdoor. Questions. We haven't really seen much of a plan, a schematic, how you're going to build this. Are trees going to be cut down?
No, we're trying not to impact any of the tree lines. We're trying to save every tree possible. The only trees that would be removed are the dead pine trees that sit on Des Plaines Road, which is being required of us to turn into a parking lot.
Perfect, thank you. And then I did notice that, this might be for David or somebody else eventually, but I did notice there's no lights along Des Plaines River Court. Pretty dark back there. Let's see if I have anything else. That was it.
And Mr. O'Brien, it's honestly for us, our business thrives on birthday parties, contrary to what somebody else mentioned, that we have adults in war games. We have an event that is once a year. It's called Clowns versus Zombies, which was brought to everybody's attention. We promote it. It's on our website. We're not hiding anything. We bring in players from all over the world to come and play at one event. We're the #1 highest volume consumer of paintballs in the world, and we are the #1 facility and #1 rated paintball facility in the country. And we promote a game just so we can attract players from around the world to come and experience some of our playing arenas, because our playing arenas were they're reproductions of scenes out of very popular video games, and we got the rights. We're the only paintball park in the world that has legal rights to have rebuilt and replicated scenes out of video games by the owners of the video game companies and their attorneys. So we hold that in high regard. We don't want to ruin it with a few bad apples that come in and cause problems, and we're very strict. We do have a liquor license at our current facility. We've had zero issues. You can call the Village of East Dundee. We've never had any issues with drinking. We actually, in fact, mostly allow a 2-drink maximum, and we cut wristbands off. As soon as someone has a drink, they cannot go back into the playing arenas without a wristband, and we heavily monitor that. That's why we have over 100 employees in season to protect everybody and the safety of all players, and our liquor license has never impacted any of that.
I did speak to many members of local law enforcement who actually agreed that they were not concerned about this coming to Gurnee.
Great.
Thank you.
Trustee Thorstensen?
I have a lot. You want to go next, Cheryl? I have some too. All right.
Go for it.
Let's see, where do I want to start? So usually we see a plan. Is there a reason why we don't have a plan?
We presented a site plan to the village quite some time ago for this property, and I'm not sure what we're referring to. We've submitted a plan and a narrative for the property.
You just mentioned the trees. Usually the plan is very detailed.
We haven't put together an architectural plan, if that's what you're asking for, and the reason being is we don't even have a zoning change approved yet. So that would be putting the carriage before the horse, and we purposely did not put together architectural plans for the property.
But I believe in the site plan, it does show the overlay on top of Google Maps where the trees for parking will be removed, as requested by the village.
And the playing arenas are not removing any of the trees. They're all remaining, so it clearly shows on our site plan.
So your request didn't include alcohol.
Sorry?
Your request did not include alcohol.
We haven't requested it as of yet, if we're going to at all.
Okay,
We mentioned our liquor license just because of safety concerns that were brought up.
gotcha. So facility days, hours, in the beginning of tonight, you said usually 9 to 5? When, and then I think another trustee asked, so when is it ever not usually 9 to 5?
Sometimes we'll open up at 8, depending on the season, but that's about the stretch of, that is the stretch of our hours.
Or if we have a request for a corporation to have an after-hours party for a company outing, for example, until maybe 6 p.m.
Okay. The immediately adjacent houses, I think the closest one is 28 feet. And then I heard tonight that there'll be a 30-foot buffer or berm.
Yeah, so our current facility, there are literally houses 5 yards away from our playing arenas, and we have never impacted one of those homes. We don't have any complaints from them. There's, I think, 9 homes that literally touch the back of our netting. It's in it borders their backyard and our playing arenas, and we've never fielded a complaint from any one of those homeowners, let alone someone that's a quarter mile away.
But yes, the site plan that we submitted has a 30-foot buffer as requested, as well as landscaping barriers, not a berm, but I believe that there were specific trees that were requested to be placed within that 30-foot buffer.
And I'll remind you that 30-foot buffer is what we require as a transition yard between commercial uses and residential uses, even though this one technically would not require a transition yard because it's zoned to office. So they were willing to go ahead and implement that 30-foot buffer, and that is a condition of the proposed special use permit.
Okay. You talked about the netting, but when I looked online, I didn't see a canopy, just the walls.
There's no need for a canopy. It's open air play. That's typical in the paintball industry, and it meets all the safety requirements of the entire industry. 20-foot netting is sufficient according to the industry control or regulations.
ASTM or whatever.
ASTM, yeah.
Okay, thanks. And that brings me to the next thing. So what are your regulations? Is it when you say industry, and then I looked up and like state of Illinois had some things as well. So what are your regulations?
So we have many regulations at our current facility that I can go through in detail with you if you'd like, but we don't have any accidents with paintballs. We've never had any accidents with paintballs from a safety perspective, so that's something that we're really proud of. We have a full-time paramedic on site just in the event that we do have an accident. We have some scrapes from someone maybe running and tripping and falling over something, but we've never had a direct impact of a paintball hurting somebody. And then secondly, the regulations that we have are very strict. We have referees everywhere that monitor play. So if someone even remotely lifted their mask, for example, they're ejected out of the playing arena, our referee actually covers them and pulls them off the playing arena. So our regulations are extremely strict.
So in reference to what you were asking, there's a netted playing area when you go to the playing fields, and once you go past that net, it's masks on at all times. They can't remove the mask within that area. When you guys when you were referring to the reviews of people being kicked out of the park, it would be for violations of that mask because it's a safety requirement. If they can't keep the mask on, we do ask them to leave for their safety and others. Regarding injuries, paintball actually has a lower injury rating than golf or running, and that's rated by the insurance companies that insure paintball and sporting events. So the injury rate is very low, and we also monitor people going into the field as well as customers coming onto the property. We check IDs of everybody or everyone who's over the age of 18 years old in order to ensure that we know who's coming in and who's coming out of our property. Any of the participants who are under 18 are required to have a liability waiver signed by a minor, their adult or guardian, and that correlates to us checking the IDs and ensuring that the liability waivers that are being signed are not being forged.
And from a standpoint of safety, one of the things that, as TJ mentioned here, our regulations are so strict that as soon as we see someone violate any of the regulations that we have, we eject them immediately, as we mentioned multiple times. The truth is that if you look up our insurance regulations and if you look up safety concerns in paintball, badminton and fishing are twice as dangerous as paintball, if that gives you an idea of how safe our sport is and how regulated it is.
Is your facility audited
In what way?
by any of the regulators?
It's not. We self-regulate, and our insurance company does send in a check from what we understand. They send in somebody who comes in as a customer, and we're not aware of it.
Can a person bring their own paintball gun?
They can, but they cannot bring their own paintballs. So we heavily monitor the paintballs that are utilized, and our paintballs are the safest on the market.
Also, we monitor the speed of the paintball marker, ensuring that when any markers used, whether it be one of ours or one of the participants, that they're all operating within the ASTM safety standards. It's the safety requirement by the manufacturer is 300 feet per second and under, and we operate at 280 and under.
And all of our referees carry a radar gun so they can measure the speed of the paintball. So as soon as someone is maybe shooting a little bit faster than it's supposed to, they're immediately turned down. They're all computer controlled.
And if anyone brought in their own paint gun, do they have to show that who purchased it?
No, there's no requirement for a paintball marker to be purchased with a license, if that's what you're asking.
So I read that state of Illinois has, cannot be purchased by someone under 13?
Well, we actually at our park don't allow the purchase of a marker under 18. And most national brand stores like Dick's Sporting Goods and all the other companies that carry paintball equipment follow in suit. So Illinois might be 13, but anyone who sells paintball equipment in Illinois, Wisconsin, or Indiana, it's usually 18. So they won't sell.
Minimum age is 18 to purchase a paintball marker.
Okay, I'm just looking at Illinois that I copied, and it said it says for possession by minors under age 13.
We exceed that expectation.
Okay. You said your model is unique. It sounds like you're trying to grow it even further. You used the word, you have a unique model earlier tonight?
Correct, yes, most paintball fields operate in like a wooded area, and they just utilize existing trees or pallets, or, essentially, just.
Rubber tires
Yeah.
and that sort. We build a full entertainment facility, and we try to have a full immersion of an experience for our players so they can feel like they're playing in a real live video game, but they're in person.
I think I have one last one, and I'm just trying to find it. I'll let you go, Cheryl, and I'll think about it.
Someone from the public mentioned that at the PZB there was some difficulty with Santa's Village.
That was just with the repair of our building. It's not like we've had any major issues, but we've requested the repair of that building. However, it hasn't been repaired, so we were basically stating that it wasn't our building to repair, so we are not going to pay for the repairs of that building.
Yeah, it was a maintenance issue because we didn't own the property.
And you've already answered the zombies and the clowns, so that's not a usual thing.
No, and that's not marketed towards birthday parties. That's for a whole separate group of paintball players who are there to play paintball. It's not like that is our main business model. That's one day a year.
Okay, and then there was a question about garish buildings, and so since you have the opportunity to start from fresh in Gurnee, will there be any garish buildings?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
The garish buildings that people were complaining about from the pictures, now that you have a chance to do it from scratch, will there be any garish buildings?
No, all of our buildings are.
Unsightly, is that what you mean? Yeah.
Well, just wild colors.
Yeah, so when we first built our paintball facility 14 years ago, it looked like identical to an amusement park. I mean, every step of the way was an immersive feel like you're in an amusement park. There was clowns everywhere. There was bumper car buildings, et cetera. We have real live buses. We have airplanes on the site that you can go in and out of and around. We have helicopters at our facility. And over the years, the last couple of years, in fact, some of those buildings have decayed, as TJ mentioned. And so we're tearing those buildings down, and our new facility is going to be built with materials that are not going to decay. So we learned from our new business, our previous business, that we used wood, and we're not going to use wood. We're going to use a lot of metals. So our buildings will sustain and last a long time, and they're going to look very beautiful.
Okay. Let's see. One other question was a lighting study. So typically, if you're not going to be open past 5 o'clock, you don't really need to have a lighting study. Is that
I'm sorry, did you say lighting?
lighting for
Yes, we won't be open past 5.
Outdoor lighting?
I think it was mandated that, if I'm not mistaken, that we're going to need lighting on our parking lot. In the event employees are leaving at nighttime, we can't have a dark facility. It would be a hazard, if I'm not mistaken, but.
No, I think that our operational hours will be till 5, and I don't think we were requested of doing a lighting study because of that.
Right, so lighting is not required in our businesses areas. If they do choose lighting, they'll have to meet the lighting ordinance. So no departures from the lighting ordinance were requested. They're not even, I don't believe they're even 100% certain that they're going to be installing parking lot lighting. The play fields are not going to be lit or illuminated, so there's no overall lighting requirement. And the parking lot lighting is a very simple staff level approval.
So those are the things that I heard that were concerns from the public. And so I would just like to say that I appreciate all the work that the staff has done on this, and also the PZB, that they've studied it well.
Trustee Thorson, did you have another question?
Yeah, I found it. So I just want to dovetail on that lighting question, David, because I was out there tonight about, I don't know, 4:30. And first of all, the access road is very narrow and windy. I'm sure you know that. 2 cars getting by, right? Just barely.
It's a IDOT frontage road. Actually, it's not actually maintained by the Village of Gurnee. It's an IDOT frontage road. The proposed parking field where the majority of the entrance is going to be very near the entrance point. So you'll come down by the first, where the first home is on that frontage road, and that will be the initial access point into the parking lot. So the need for vehicles to go all the way down around the corner and all the way over towards the river is going to be a rare occasion. There's not going to be a need for people to make it all the way down to the end.
That also contain employee parking?
Yes, I believe.
That one area, that very first, will contain all the 150 that you need?
We don't have that many employees parking at one time, so we typically have 30 or so parking spaces that are utilized by our employees currently.
Because our business doesn't come in all at one time, our employee, what do you call it?
They're staggered.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, but what I heard is that first building on the left will be your parking. It'll be the 150 needed for the
156
business.
spots is what is being
And it will
mandated.
also include the 30 for the employees now?
They're going to be parking on the site, yes, and we perhaps could even park probably our employee cars at some of the home sites that are towards the end of Des Plaines Road, if required.
So it needs lighting, David. It's just really, I wouldn't want to be there this time of night. It was so dark.
And they can put some lighting in on the parking lot. That's within
It
their
wouldn't
rights.
be safe for the employees if they were
Right.
parking at that first place.
Okay, and they're allowed to put in parking lot lighting. It has, typically our standards are it has to go down to security levels 1 hour after the close of business. So that, like I said, that's a staff level approval that can be made once we get into the building permits.
And then lastly, since you haven't developed the actual detailed plan, I'm not sure what you called that, the architectural plan or the operational plan, but your detailed plan, have you considered a funds being held in reserve so that we can make sure that you maintain the look of the properties from 120 and 21? The look of the buildings?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. I mean, we're going to improve the buildings dramatically. We have a rendering that showed the ugly bus building. It's going to be completely modernized and beautiful. We don't want to have our building or property look the way it is now, which looks like a disaster to me.
Right, and I was thinking, how do we ensure that they don't deteriorate and you don't have money to?
Oh, yes, so just so you know, the check-in building is actually not used for play. So there's the buildings that I believe everyone is referring to are buildings at the current facility that are used to play paintball. The check-in building that everyone will see from the street is actually not used for play, and it's going to be made with metal paneling, so it will maintain its appearance, going forward. The playing areas at this facility will actually be behind that area, so you won't really see it from the street. So any of the play areas that have shown deterioration in our current footprint that are in the parking lot are no longer up in the front of the roadside.
Yeah, and our playing arenas are cleaned twice a week, so it removes paintballs from the buildings, and we paint all of our current playing arenas every 2 months or so.
So when we do that with metal, it will maintain a much cleaner appearance.
Yeah, and the entry building will always stay clean because it's not in a playing area. And we currently don't have, just for the record, we don't have an entry building that is visible from the street. So we want to have a nice footprint on the roadway, and that's why we presented that rendering of the building that we're proposing to put where the current bus building is.
And then lastly, do you have any designs for your signage?
No, we don't currently, but we will if you would like to see something. We can have a rendering put together rather quickly.
Signage at your current place,
We have a digital reader board there, an LED board right now.
you also have a long, tall letters that?
That's for a chain link fence that the landlord has installed there. We don't have any control over that. We did that to cover it up. There won't be a chain link fence at this facility.
So you're proposing what type of a sign then?
We are actually going to apply for signage down the road. I think we've been in talks about possibly getting, finding out what the requirements are for signage in the village.
Okay.
And there was conversation about a sign, but we didn't get that far in terms of what kind of sign is code. And we'll put up whatever signage is code.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't anything, so at this point for item number 4, if all of our questions are complete and comments, then if we could have a roll call, please, for item number 4.
Thorstenson.
No.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Balmas.
Aye.
5 aye, 1 no.
Item number 4 carries, motion carries. So on to item number 5, which is really part of this, approval of ordinance 2024-67, granting a special use permit pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance for 5606, 5620, 5626, 5636, 5646, and 5710, Des Plaines Court, and 885 and 887 South Illinois Route 21, to paintball explosion for the establishment of an outdoor entertainment facility. Pat, do you have any further comments? No? Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Trustee O'Brien?
I'm just making sure that some of the questions like Trustee Thorstensen had with the lighting and stuff, it seemed like it would be at their will. Is there a way to put that onto the motion so that it's at the board's will?
As far as requiring outdoor lighting for the parking lot?
I don't know, outdoor lighting or the view from Route 120? Those were the two concerns I remember.
Minimally for employees, that is really dark there.
You can include a requirement to require parking lot lighting, if that is what your will, per village ordinance. Yeah.
For what? I apologize.
Per the village lighting requirements. If you would like to include parking lot lighting on the proposed parking lot.
If you said it's per the village requirements.
Per the village codes, I guess the lighting limits per the village code.
Okay. All right, and then the other point, thank you, is what I don't hear any assurances of how you're going to maintain it, and therefore we wouldn't want to be waiting to say, when are you painting the exterior of the building? So that's why I was asking for some type of routine maintenance check or something like that, contingency fund and reserve, but any discussion on any of that?
As far as, making sure that the building looks good, that's a very subjective matter. We've traditionally tried to steer away from subjective standards. As far as maintaining the building, our property maintenance code always kicks in if it deteriorates to a certain point, which is, a baseline minimum. I guess I would have a difficult time understanding where that level is and how to write that as a specific requirement into the ordinance.
I don't know either. All I have as a reference is what they've got now, and unfortunately, it's like setting the bar really low, so I don't know how you wanted to write that in. It'd be for any upcoming entertainment facility, correct? That they aren't maintaining external standards?
It would be, the special use permit is specific to this site.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, let me just start with, Trustee Thorstensen, with reference to your last comment, I think from what I understand from Mr. Ziegler, it's property maintenance code as opposed to a specific item on a special use permit. Is that your comment? Is like that we rely on our own code to enforce violations of our property maintenance code as opposed to establishing a new one?
Correct, and I'm just expressing my feeling that it'd be difficult to try to create a subjective standard that's built into this ordinance. So, property maintenance code is always there. It applies to all buildings in the village. Trying to create something beyond that would be difficult to enforce unilaterally.
And the second item, Trustee Thorstensen, would it be acceptable if we're to ask the petitioner if they would be willing to provide for adequate employee lighting? That's your main concern, right? Because those are the people that'll be there after hours.
Absolutely.
So gentlemen, that's the request, is if we were to, in the special use permit, if we were to add that you were to provide adequate lighting for your employees, then would you be willing to do that?
So we obviously haven't given this a lot of thought, and it's being proposed right now without even having a chance to understand what is being required and what the cost of it's going to be. But there is a parking lot that is utilized right now by the bus business where they're repairing buses outdoors, which is on the east side of the building that is on the corner. I don't know if we have that on a site map, but we'd be happy to put parking lights around that area, and we would probably mandate that our employees park there, and I think that would be pretty easy to install lighting on the side of the building. And if I can come up there and point it out, I could show you where I'm talking about, if that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think if that's necessary. I think we're just basically from Trustee Thor's, she's concerned about your employees. And from what I've heard from your comment is that we'll make it a part of your special use permit, so you'll have to do it if it's approved. So if you have some method that you're arriving at, if it's at the bus repair location, whatever, that'll just be a part of your permit that you'll have to follow just to provide safety for your employees. And I'm sure you want to share.
If it's on that side of that building, absolutely.
All right.
Look at all those trailers.
So at this point, is there a motion?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Balmas, first, and second by Trustee O'Brien. Is there a roll call, please?
Thorstensen.
No.
Woodside.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Balmas.
Aye.
5 aye, 1 no.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Welcome to Gurnee.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
And to the last item is public comment. You can step up to the microphone and make your comments if you'd like.
I was at the zoning board meeting, and I'm Barbara Stevens. I live at 5740 Regency Court in Gurnee. I was at the zoning board meeting, and I listened to the comments there, and I find interesting discrepancies between comments that were unsolicited comments that were made by the owners of this business. And I also am mystified by the discrepancies of how they're marketing their business. When I look at their Facebook site, when I look at their website, when I look at their YouTube site, they're not marketing themselves as a birthday party business. I had 2 sons. I took them to laser tag facilities, not paintball facilities. It's not for me to say whether paintball is an appropriate entertainment venue for adults or for children. That's up to their parents, and I think as a village, we're on uneven ground when we try to make those kinds of decisions. But what hasn't been talked about here and wasn't talked about at the zoning board is my personal feeling, and I think it's shared by a number of the other residents here, that we feel like the village doesn't understand that this is our neighborhood. You all have neighborhoods. You are not considering putting in your neighborhoods facilities like the truck stop or this facility. I know it looks to you like because we chose to live off of 21, that somehow we're buffered and what happens across the street doesn't matter to us, but it does. And you believe that it won't affect us, but it does. And in this case, by approving this, you have set a tone for the remaining 26 acres. And the attorney for the Consumers Credit Union told the zoning board that, and it made no difference. But it makes a difference to us. We were there before this business. We will remain after this business. You now, as a village, have 2 neighborhood groups in different areas of the village coming before you and asking you to do a better job, or at least a different job, of looking at our area of the village. I understand, by virtue of looking at the, I think it's a 2040 plan, that there are lots and lots of areas with open space that you all have designated as commercial. And a number of them are very close to residential areas. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the way the village seems to think about my neighborhood. And my neighborhood extends beyond the boundaries of Heather Ridge. I'm disappointed. I'm deeply disappointed. And I don't know exactly what to do with that disappointment, but I'm going to have to really seriously think about it and figure out what to do next. I understand the village has a responsibility to maintain a tax base, which benefits all of us in this room. All of us who own property benefit from that. And we understand that the village has to grow. But we, many of us in Heather Ridge, entertained what now looks like a vain hope that that 26 acres near the fire station could address both our interests and the interests of the village by being able to site there a mixed residential and commercial property. And you had the attorney for the property owner come before your zoning board and tell you that passing and agreeing to this, citing this business there, will effectively kill that opportunity. So are we to expect that the trucking company will come back again? How many times do we have to fight for our neighborhood? I'm asking you respectfully to think about our side of Gurnee. Not the side where your neighborhoods are, but the side where our neighborhood is, because we like our neighborhood. It's a quiet, safe, green, somewhat bucolic area. And what you put on that open acreage could change that forever. And it would be disingenuous for you to believe that that's not the case. I also think that it's disingenuous of you to accept the statements of this business owner. I'm sure that he has the best of intentions. But when you get down to the bottom line, intentions can change. And I look at the way that he's marketing this business, and it's not for children's birthday parties. I went to 3 different locations, 3 different sites. If you didn't, you should have. You represent us. And you have a responsibility, as does the zoning board, to know what you're doing when you do it. When you accept the packet of information from the zoning board, which is prepared by Dave Ziegler and his very capable staff, that's not enough for me. Thank you.
So what I normally ask is that there isn't any clapping, because if someone wants to stand up and have an opposing view, they'll feel like they're going to be bullied by people that clap. So that's why I ask you not to clap, not that you don't like what she said. So I'd ask that you don't clap. That just is helpful. So would somebody else like to make a public comment? Yes, sir. It's okay. Why don't you wait till you get to the microphone and state your name?
I'll state my name. No, Roy Blackfield, 672 Dunham. We haven't had much luck with paintball companies in Gurnee. The one at Gurnee Mills shut down. How long did that last?
I don't know. You have to make comments. I can't answer your questions best I can, so.
Okay, and if it looks anything like the paintball place on 41, it looked like a lumber yard that was just torn apart. So, as the lady said over here, we normally have a architectural type thing of how the business is going to look before you guys vote on it. We have no idea what this place is going to look like. You guys have no idea what it's going to look like. And you voted on it. The lady next to Quinn O'Brien, she said, well, why don't you have the picture or a diagram of what it's going to look like? Are we getting that before they do it? Does anyone know that voted for it tonight?
Sir, you can't, you can make comments. It just,
No, I'm just
it's very
wondering.
unfulfilling, I know, but it's just the way it is.
Right, I mean, I've been in these board meetings when we put Gurnee Mills in, and we were using Waukegan code. And then finally they had a point of, oh no, we're not gonna do that, or we're not gonna have signs like Schaumburg. I mean, why wouldn't we have some type of idea what it's gonna look like? If it's gonna look like 41, does anybody remember what it looked like at 41? It was a mess. So we're going to have that along Route 120. Welcome to Gurnee, the mess. I mean, if you go a little further east on 120, there's a place in Park City or Waukegan that would be a perfect spot for it. They already have buildings that look like that. So, but that's my 2 cents, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Leah Teague. I wrote you all email. I don't know if you got it, but thank you so much. I know you're working hard here, and you could be home relaxing, and you're not. So, and I think you're all volunteers, right?
Kind of.
Yeah. So I know you're working hard. You're trying to do the right thing, but could you put that picture up real quick on the screen?
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, just a comment. Just,
Yeah, I
it's
was
a
going
public
to comment. I'm going to
You
comment.
just have to confine your comments to this.
Well, if you would look at that, you would see how close it is to the river. And that is a flood zone. It's a FEMA hazard zone. I don't know if you read my email, but I took something off of NOAA.gov, and it shows, like, there's a whole list of how this water can inundate the waste treatment plants in Libertyville. It can flood along businesses on Grand Avenue. And Kilbourne. I mean, I didn't write it down. I didn't think I'd have to come up here and speak about it. But that place could have some problems, and be flooded out. Could cause Libertyville to the human waste to go into the river. We're not looking at this with the long view. Things happen. Just because they didn't happen yet doesn't mean they won't happen. And that really should be forest preserve, like all along the river there. That should be forest preserve. And that makes this place very desirable. When people have parks and forests, that raises the value of the property, that and the school systems. That's where people want to live. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm Phil Balcom on 920 Bose Drive, Gurnee. You called the truck situation 2 years ago, and after we polled with the residents, we discovered that 1,100 of them were against it. And that was more than 95% of the people we asked. So we have no idea what portion of the people would be against this paint situation, but we voted on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comments? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Balmas.
Second.
Second by trustee O'Brien. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.